Donald Trump has refused to rule out using force to take Greenland. Here's the latest from NBC News.
This morning, a frigid Greenland is fired up over President Trump's threats to take over the Danish territory. The island holding a protest over the weekend. Demonstrators wearing their own version of MAGA hats. Make America go away. After the president announced that until Greenland is sold to the U.S., starting February 1st, he'll impose a 10% tariff on all goods from Denmark and 7 other countries that have agreed to send small numbers of troops to Greenland. The import tax would then increase to 25% on June 1st if no deal is reached. Norway's prime minister has also confirmed he received a text message from President Trump over the weekend in which Trump said he, quote, no longer feels an obligation to think purely of peace after not receiving the Nobel Peace Prize. According to the prime minister, Trump also added the world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland.
Look, even though the US bought Alaska and bought Louisiana, this is an extraordinary way for the US to treat its allies. I asked Kristin whether Trump's endgame is clear.
Well, clearly, there are lots of benefits to acquiring Greenland, geopolitical benefits, also benefits related to resources. And the president's move to acquire Greenland, in my mind, is more than just about territorial expansion, right? This is actually kind of a bold shift in U.S. foreign policy. And it comes after Trump arresting Maduro, right? And now you take Greenland. And in my view, Chris, I totally get the benefits of potentially acquiring Greenland, but this establishes a dangerous precedent. It tells the world that if you're a big country and you have power, you just take what you want. We're not hiding behind, diplomatic niceties anymore. It's the U.S. just openly embracing power in a way that kind of echoes historical empires. This is, for the last 80 years, we've kind of built up these international rules, post-World War II especially, and, it kind of has kept things in check. But now it feels like we're kind of just stomping over those norms and just saying that bigger nations can go ahead and swallow up smaller ones just because they want to, or it's because, it's advantageous to them. So I definitely have concerns about this, and so do a lot of other Americans.
Yeah, it is bizarre. There's no doubt this has focused people's attention on the strategic importance of Greenland because of its location and also because of those critical minerals. But the suggestion that the US could take it by military force or just essentially assume the territory is bizarre. It's no way to treat allies. Have a listen to the US as one of the US's most important allies, of course, the UK, their Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer.
The use of tariffs against allies is completely wrong. It is not the right way to resolve differences within an alliance. Any decision about the future status of Greenland belongs to the people of Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark alone.
Yeah, that seems axiomatic. Is the end game here then, Kristin, though, that Donald Trump just wants a major US military base there and some sort of deal about the minerals being used for Western allies rather than for China or Russia? Or do you think he actually seriously thinks that he could add this to the US territory?
Well, I think, it's probably the first option, but the way he's doing this has a lot of potential downside. It could isolate the United States internationally, it could erode trust with our allies, and it could invite retaliation. It also kind of effectively ends NATO. How can you maintain a defense alliance when one member, the United States, is aggressively targeting another, like Denmark? I suppose, on the other hand, NATO has sort of been on life support anyway, so having it sort of effectively end wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
I think it would be disastrous if NATO ended. I think one of the benefits of Trump is that he's strengthened NATO because he's forced NATO countries to spend more on their defence. This is such a bizarre story. We understand the strategic importance, but the way Trump's going about it is bizarre even by his standards. As you know, we've got the Australian Open on in this country at the moment, and my favourite tennis player always turns up as a commentator for that, John McEnroe, and you'd want to quote him. You'd have to say, are you serious? You can't be serious. But Donald Trump is serious. Have a listen to the Danish foreign minister.
The meeting we had last week left me with the clear impression that the president honestly and full-heartedly want to acquire Greenland. But we also made it crystal clear that this is a red line. And therefore we agreed that we should move this dialogue from, social media and Truth Social and other arenas into a meeting room.
Now, the interesting thing about that, Kristin, he says there is stuff to discuss. There's a red line. Of course, they don't want to give up Greenland, but there is room for negotiation. So, again, as with everything Trump talks about, I suppose, and aspires to, you just got to wait and see what the end result's going to be.
Yeah, you're right. Trump, he goes for 100 knowing he might get, 50. That's sort of his strategy, and it has worked in the past. But I just keep coming back to I don't like the precedent this is setting. It's just smaller nations need to have autonomy. You can't just be a big nation and go around the world taking what you want because you can. And we kind of saw that with Maduro in Venezuela as well.
Spot on, Kristin, spot on. Never a dull moment with your president. I look forward to keeping in touch with you throughout 2026.
Thank you, Chris.